Toby Seraphin. I'm the president of the Colonial Place Riverview Civic League, and I welcome everyone here tonight. We appreciate you taking time out of your schedules to come and spend a little bit of time with us. We have a very full agenda this evening. We have Sheriff Joe Barron, who's going to talk to us a little bit about the programs that are going on in the Sheriff's Office. We have Mr. Filion from the city, who is going to talk to us about the bike lanes and explain what all those different colors and arrows and things mean, and answer some of our questions. And we also have John Stevenson and Susan Pollock from the city, who are here to answer any other questions that come up at the same time. After their presentations, we will be talking about bylaw amendments. You may have seen it mentioned in the newsletter. We will go over those and give you an opportunity to ask any questions you might have in anticipation of a vote on the bylaw amendments at the June meeting. Officer White, I have not seen yet, so we will go ahead and start our program with Sheriff Joe Barron.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to come and speak before your Civic League. I'm right over here. She wants me close so she can hear everything I say. There's a couple of things I would just like to start with. Is first tell you just a little bit about myself, because I'm your new sheriff. I've been your sheriff now since February 1st after Bob McKay decided to retire, leaving a vacancy in the position, and I'll let you know how I got there. And then I'd like to just say a few things about what we're doing in the Sheriff's Office. Really good stuff, probably a lot of stuff that you don't even realize that we're doing. My name is Joe Barron. I was born and raised right here in Norfolk, Virginia. And when I got out of high school, I went into the Navy Reserves. I did some time there, my active duty time. And then when I came back, I went and joined the Norfolk Police Department back in 1985. So anybody doing the math, that's coming up on 32 years I've been in law enforcement. I know I don't look that old, but I really am old enough to have been in law enforcement for 32 years. I joined when I was 21 years old. On the police department, I worked in a whole lot of different areas, including patrol, but the main portion of my time was in investigations. And the main portion at that time, I worked in homicide for about 7.5 years as an investigator, and then later as a supervisor in various aspects. I worked on 77 murders in our city. We were able to solve 70 of those 77 murders, which is a pretty good solvability rate. You learn a lot about problem-solving skills and things like that when you're working in investigations. I started getting promoted up through the ranks. I ended up working in internal affairs. I also worked as a sergeant in charge of homicide, and then I was promoted to lieutenant. I was a second commander out in the 2nd Patrol Division, and then they put me downtown as a second commander. And I was responsible to organize all the police response and public safety response to the large events downtown, such as the Grand Illumination Parade, or the Afghan Fest, Harbor Fest. In fact, when President Barack Obama came during his campaign for presidency, before he became president at Harbor Park, the ICS plan, the Incident Command System plan, I'm the one that put that together. So you learn a lot about organizational skills when you're placed in those positions. I got a 26, well, they moved me back from downtown to back to be the commander in charge of violent crimes. I oversaw gang squad, robbery, and homicide. And then when I got 26 years on the police department, that was retirement time, so I retired and joined the Norfolk Sheriff's Office coming up on 6 years ago. And that's where I've been. I've been captain there, and I moved up the ranks last year. I got promoted to the chief deputy, and by law, when the sheriff retired, I took over the sheriff's office. I've been your sheriff now just a few months, but I think we're doing a great job. We're doing a lot of positive things to create good culture within our organization. So what are we doing in the sheriff's office? What's good for the community to know about what we're doing in the sheriff's office? One, I can tell you that we are committed to public safety, public service, and ensuring public trust. How are you getting the public trust? Well, every single year the Department of Corrections comes down to the Sheriff's Office and they do an inspection. They do a life, health, and safety inspection, and it's always a surprise inspection, although they don't like to call it a surprise visit. It is a surprise visit. And when they come, they'll go around and they will ask deputies throughout our organization, will ask them questions like, how many times do you have to do rounds in an hour? How many times do you have to feed an inmate, per day? And how many of those meals have to be hot? Where is the fire extinguisher? If there's an emergency and the power goes out, how are you getting the inmates out of the facility? All these are questions that my staff has to be able to answer correctly in order for us to get 100% compliance with the inspection. We do that every year. Last year we got 100% compliance. We also every single year have to have an independent audit of all of our finances from state law requires us to do it. We've been getting 100% compliance every single year. And then there's a bunch of different things like Department of Correctional, DCJS, Valepsi or Valepsi certified, which is the same certification or accreditation that the police department has. We have that. So there's a number of entities that are always looking at sheriff's offices throughout the state that make sure that we're doing the job the way we're supposed to do it. In addition to that, I'm always talking to my employees about the need to make sure that we're treating others the way we want to be treated, regardless of who they are. If the citizens call us, we need to be polite. We need to be responsive to whatever their needs are. And that's important towards building public trust. The public safety aspect, our job is to protect the courts, the bailiffs that you see inside the courtrooms, or the screeners that you see when you come into the courthouse. Those are all people that work for the sheriff's office. We provide the public safety aspect as in keeping the inmates in custody that are supposed to stay in custody. But we're also providing a public service. We go out into our community every single day, and we have different programs that we have, such as the Project Lifesaver program. Have you guys heard about that? Project Lifesaver is, people with autism, people that have dementia, and that kind of thing. When we sign them up to our Project Lifesaver program, we put a bracelet on them, basically, which is a tracking device, so that when they get lost, you probably heard within the last couple of weeks somebody getting lost in the police department and fire department were out there looking for them. It takes a long time and a lot of resources to find somebody. Those who are on our program, we usually find them within a half an hour of the phone call. And it's basically the same kind of device that is used to track hunting dogs. It puts out a signal, we go out there with our little antennas, and then we end up being able to find somebody and get them back into their home safely. We also have what's called the senior watch program. Right now we have 108 seniors who are on our senior watch program. And we all know that there's seniors that live in our community that have outlived their families, outlived their friends, and are basically kind of alone in the world. And we get them signed up on the senior watch program, and deputies will go out and visit them once a month and spend, 15, 20 minutes with them, however long the senior really wants. And it makes them feel like they're not alone in the world. We also, that program, the last two big snowstorms we've had, we get on the phone right away and start calling them to make sure they're okay. 2 times we found seniors who did not have heat in their homes, and we were able to get the resources out there to help them get their heat restored. So it's an important program of our outreach to helping our seniors. We also have a lot of outreach that we do in reference to our youth. Our youth programs are really important to me. Whatever we can do to keep our youth on the right track, we try to do. We have our sports camp and our summer camps that we're going to be doing this year. They're shortened the time frame because the Girl Scouts whose camp we use, they needed the time. So they've taken a little bit of our time away, which is okay. We're proud to have that partnership with them. But we target the youth from 10 to 14 years old because we know that's the transitional period in which kids start to get in trouble. And we want to get them off the streets if we can. It's free, so if you have any children in that age range, just go to our website or call our community affairs, and we can get you into the camps. There's a lot of our inner city youth that never had that opportunity to get out there and do canoeing, archery, going to the swimming pool, doing kickball, working. We also put out what's the Virginia Rules programs, in which we talk about bullying, we talk about gang violence, and we talk about the dangers of these things and how they relate to the Virginia Rules. The Attorney General has come down to our campus the last 2 years because they're a big part of the Virginia Rules program, and the Sheriff's Office is teaching them. The biggest new program outreach that we're doing just started after I took office. I was at Jaycox Elementary School, and I saw a couple of officers I used to work with walking a child, and it's a partnership with the Life Enrichment Center. And if you haven't heard about it, the Life Enrichment Center goes to all of the local elementary schools. I don't know if it's all of them, but they target certain elementary schools that have issues with reading. And they target children between kindergarten up to the 3rd grade. Why do you think they do that? Anybody?
They said prison needs based on 3rd grade reading scores.
Based on reading scores, right? Well, what I didn't know is they stopped teaching reading after the 3rd grade. Reading skills you learn in those first 3 years. I didn't realize that until I took the class over at LEC. And then they say that there's some states that are taking those reading levels after that to determine how many prisons they build or how many jails they build. Well, so we decided to get involved. The police department's been doing it the last 3 years. We now have 20 of our senior staff, folks that work Monday through Friday. They go 1 hour a week, that's all they have to do, and they tutor a child. It's really an enriching experience for the child that's dealing with law enforcement in a positive way, but it's also enriching for my employees because they go there, they get excited about going to see that child every week and helping that child learn how to read. So really, really love that program. Inside the jail, though, we're doing great things as well. We have programs that help get inmates, if they want to get on the right track. We have programs that help inmates get on the right track. And they're all evidence-based programs. They're programs that are geared towards teaching people life skills, teaching people things like conflict resolution, financial, decision-making, how to create a budget, how to create a bio or a resume, how to have an interview for a job interview, right? And we're teaching those things, and what we know, based on probation parole tracking, is the folks that go through those programs, the recidivism rate is 20%. That's big. That means 80% of the people that go through those programs don't come back to jail. That's a big deal. So it's called our reentry program. We also have cognitive behavior therapy that helps people with substance abuse issues to get back on the right track. We have GED programs. We have a program. If you want to get healthy, you want to get on the right track, we have a program for it. And they're not just feel-good programs. These are programs that have been proven to work. They're evidence-based. It's a big deal. Just a couple more things. The other things that we're doing really good is this, is we have you seen the Sheriff's Office workforce out there? They go out and they clean up in your community. All right, there's some people that think that we force inmates to do that. We do not. Every inmate that's on that workforce volunteers to be on it. In fact, they all are housed separately from the rest of the general population, and they get 4.5 days off their sentence every month for being part of that program. When we go in or wake them up and say, come on, let's go out there and mow lawns or clean up a cemetery or do things like that in our community, if they don't want to get up, they don't have to get up, but they don't have to stay on the program either. Right? The great thing is that our deputies are watching their work ethic. If they are energetic and they're going, they're working, and they're doing the jobs the way we need them to do them, or if they're working in the kitchen inside the jail, or if they're working in any other jobs that we have, if they're doing really good, we will put them on the work release program. And that's a big deal. It's a big win-win for the community, for businesses, and for the inmates. The work release program, we have the largest work release program in the state. The big deal about that is this. We have 50 to 60 employers out in our community right now that hire inmates. They get a tax break for hiring the inmate, right? The inmate has to be paid the same amount that they would any other employee. And they hire people. We've got inmates that have skills, like they're painters, they're plumbers, they're carpenters, those kind of things, or just labor, right? They pay them what everybody else gets paid, but the business gets a tax break, so they're really getting a break on the pay, right? So that's a big deal for the business owner. The other big deal is this, is they know they're going to show up on time because we're bringing them to them. So they'll be there on time. And they know that they're going to be sober because they know where they stayed the night before. They stayed with us. So a sober, on-time employee that they know if they have any issues with, they just call us, we come and get them, and we bring them back. The win for the inmate is they're now got an income coming in. We put it into an account for them at the jail, and we help them pay off their bills or pay their bills while they're incarcerated. Because guess what? When you're incarcerated, you still got a Vetco bill, you still have child support payments, you still have a car payment, all things that an inmate may lose while they're in custody because they're not making those payments. We make sure that those payments are getting paid, and we also help them with paying their court costs and fines while they're in. And then they step out, on the right foot when they get out of jail. The other win is a lot of these businesses, because they already see what that person's work ethic is, they're hiring them when they get out of jail. And now they're a productive citizen in our community again, which is a win for our community. It's a big deal. It's a great program, and it's one that we will be continuing for a long time. The last thing, we have our challenges in the sheriff's office. Managing the mentally ill, dealing with attrition of our employees. I can tell you this, that we are the model for the state when it comes to managing the mentally ill in a jail facility. We have 2 CSB workers, Community Service Board workers, who are working in our facility Monday through Friday. We are screening inmates as they come in within 72 hours, so we know right up front if they have any mental health issues that we need to address. We know right up front if they are people who are in crisis that we need to get out of crisis, get on their psychotropic medication, and get them into whatever kind of treatment they need to get into. We work with the Commonwealth Attorney's Office and we work with the courts to get them out of our facility, which costs you guys $20,000 a year per person, and get them into a mental health facility if that's what's needed. So those are good partnerships we have. It's a good initiative, and we're the model for the state. I lose, however, the other thing I have to manage is our attrition. We lose last year we lost 19% of our employees. Only 3% we lost to retirement. The rest are going to other agencies because they just plain make more money. Our sheriff's office makes anywhere from $8,000 to $10,000 less a year than the Norfolk Police Department, the Virginia Beach Police Department Sheriff's Office, Chesapeake, Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office and Police Departments, and our people are going there left and right. Now, the grass is not always greener. I just had 2 people coming back to me. They make $10,000 more a year, but I got 2 coming back to me from the Virginia Beach Sheriff's Office because they just don't like it. They don't like the atmosphere. We have more of a family atmosphere in our sheriff's office. So I know that I'm losing people. And day one, I was talking with city management. We have some new city management, and they recognize, they did a study, they know that we do not have a competitive wage, and they know that they need to do something about it, and they're planning on doing something about it within the next 3 years. And they've also promised a step increase for my employees plus a bonus pay to try to, stop the leak this year. So those are positive things. But the other thing I know that I need to do is we're always in training mode, and I know that we need to show value to the employees. I say every single day an employee, when they come to work at the sheriff's office, at the very least, they value themselves. And how much better is it when I or supervisors or my senior staff also go into the jail and show value to the employees and let them know that we care about it. Things like going and appreciate them when they get their 10-year certificate or their 15-year certificate or or their 20-year certificate. You know, recently I instituted a new ribbon for our veterans. Anyone that you see with this, that's wearing this ribbon now, is a veteran of the military. We have 140 veterans working for us in the Norfolk Sheriff's Office. That's a big deal. And they value that fact, and they've really shown a lot of appreciation for the new way that we show appreciation to them for having served our military. With that, did you guys know we do all that stuff?
No. I have a question. There have been a couple of stories in the Virginia Pilot about deputies getting sort of politically involved and at the pleasure of the previous sheriff for various campaigns. And I've worked many election polls where they can be intimidating, particularly in lower income communities. Will your office have a policy about that? And I don't think someone should be prohibited from being civically engaged, but there's a difference between being civically engaged and politically
And that's the policy.
charged.
Yeah, I just created a policy within the last couple of weeks, and that specifically addresses that. I don't think that any employee that works for the Norfolk Sheriff's Office should feel pressured to get involved in any kind of political activity, whether it's for me or for anybody else. But at the same time, they have a First Amendment right to get involved and say whatever they want politically. What the policy says, though, is that they cannot do any of that stuff while they're on duty. Because one, it affects employee morale, and two, it affects the public trust. You know, the community expects us to act in a certain way, and you know, we did not have a policy in place to address that. There's plenty of models out there, and I just looked them up and said, this is what we're going to do to protect our employees, their morale, and protect the way we act in our community. If that answers your question, but yes, we do have none. If you'd like to come see it, I'd be happy to, or give me your email, I'll be happy to send it to you. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks for answering the question.
Any other questions? Yes?
Will you be starting any gender-specific substance abuse or parenting groups for pregnant and pregnant women?
Pregnant, we have, all right, well, let me back up. It's a great question. She asked if we're going to have any substance abuse programs that is gender-specific. We have to have everything that we do. It has to be separate because we can't have male and female in any programs together because there's a law called, it's a PREA. It's a federal law that prevents that. It's a Prison Rape Elimination Act, and we have to, by law, keep the males and the females separate. We had a policy in place in which we were moving females over to, because we don't have a lot of space. And at one point, female inmates were taking up a whole floor, which is about, 300 to 400 bed spaces, and we always only had about 100 in our custody. Right now, we have about 50 to 55 female inmates in our custody, with some that are over in Hampton Roads Regional Jail. For a while, when females came into our custody, we were moving them over to Hampton Roads Regional Jail. The problem with that is creating programs. Because if you're always moving them, then females can't get involved in programs. Well, when I took over, I changed that because I know that they weren't getting the same kind of programs that they could get in the Norfolk City Jail over in Hampton Roads Regional Jail. Not that they don't have programs, I'm sure they do. So when we identified females that wanted to be involved in programs, whether it's substance abuse, which is cognitive behavior theory, not theory, but therapy programs. Or we have a fatherhood program, we're creating a motherhood program. Once we identify women that want to be in those programs, then we keep them at the Norfolk City Jail. And then if we get to that limit where we don't have enough holding space for them, it's the females that don't want to be involved in the programs that we end up sending over to Hampton Roads Regional Jail, where we have 250 beds that we have to fill because we pay for it whether we fill them or not. that answer your question? Do we have, yes, sir.
Do you have a social worker that provides a pre-release so when an inmate is being discharged that need like medical care, do you all pre-release that person with care? Or
We don't pre-release them with care. What we do is we have our classification officers that are supposed to keep track of when someone's getting released and get them in touch with services out in the community, such as the Up Center, the Second Chances Center, to help them get on track as it relates to job opportunities. Our medical staff will create a plan for them, a medical plan on where they can get in touch with services when they get out, and also they get released. They don't just get released where they're cut off from their medicine, okay, which is a big deal. We have a program or a policy in place, so if there's a certain amount of medicines that have been prescribed to them, then they get released with, I'm trying to remember the name of it, it's basically enough medication to get them from incarceration until they can get to the people they need to see, enough so that they can get the appointment, so they can keep and stay on their medication. Because that's part of the biggest problem, especially with our folks that have mental health issues, is they get off of their medication or they don't have the opportunity to get their medication, and they go from being okay to being back in crisis mode, which makes it a revolving door for us. So, but yes, we do. Our medical staff works with them. In fact, we were just talking about this last week, so I appreciate the question. Does that answer your question?
yes.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Your position will be coming up for election, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate running for that position?
I am running for that position. Yes, sir.
Is there
Yeah.
any-
In fact, I'm the Democratic nominee for the city of Norfolk for sheriff. I wasn't going to get into the politics because I know you guys usually have a forum. But yeah, I'm the Democratic nominee, and I'm running in November 7th for sheriff. But I think it's important still to come out here and let you guys know I am. Yes, sir.
What level of civilian volunteer involvement do you have helping you with some of these very worthwhile programs?
We have a lot of volunteer help. We'd like to have more. If any of you are interested in helping with our camps, contact our community affairs unit. But when we have our summer camps and our sports camps, we get a lot of civilian volunteers that come out and help with those events. We get a lot of partnerships, like some of the coaches that are coaches for like Lake Taylor and Granby High. The coaches will come out with a football camp. Norfolk State University, the baseball coach, they put on our baseball clinic. Old Dominion University helps give us some facilities to use while we're over there. So we get a lot of participation from the public. Our Project Lifesaver program, one of the things that has to be done every single month is you have to change the batteries, because those devices are only as good as long as the batteries are lasting. We have some batteries that last a month and some that last a month and a half, 2 months. And we have volunteers that will go out in the community and change those batteries for us, because taxpayers don't want us, spending high dollars, not really high dollars, by the way, but, money on deputies going out and changing those batteries, that kind of stuff. So we have volunteers that do that. But there's lots of opportunities. If you've got my phone number, if you want to call me, you want to get involved, we would be happy to have you come out and help in any way possible. We'd like to get some more volunteers to help us with our senior watch program, because that's ever expanding. When I came on just 6 years ago, there was about 90 seniors on our senior watch program. We have 180 now. So, any more questions? Thank you very much. All right, thank you.
Our next speaker is Mr. Paul Filion.
Sure. Thank you very much.
He is the Senior Transportation Construction Project Manager, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about bike paths.
Hello. Wow. Good afternoon. It's hard to follow Joe Barron. Joe and I go back from when I started with the city as project manager for light rail, so he's got huge credibility with me in terms of getting things done. And there's a lot of truth getting some of the alignment cleaned up with the inmates. We've got a history of getting the whole project cleaned up with the sheriff's department, so they've been super to work with. So it's a hard act to follow. But anyways, I was asked to kind of give you an update on some of the bike projects, and a major part of our team is here. Susan Pollock from the planning department, she's our senior planner, and John Stevenson, you know John, in our transportation division. So we team up and work on bike and pedestrian projects. We've got a fun team. I'll give you a little background just to sort of ground everybody. Back in 2015, we signed off on a strategic ped and bike plan, and I'll pass this around. I got my name on it, so I get it back. But this has got about 12 corridors, and it covers us citywide for some potential ideas to build the bike facilities, infrastructure, and offer some connections for neighborhoods, businesses, and some innovative things citywide that is more of a long-term plan, I should say. But there's 12 good ideas in here. We've probably got more great ideas than money to do stuff. So I'll pass this around, and you can take a peek at that. What I want to do is just kind of walk you through the general plan that had. And I'm going to pass out a couple things.
I think that is also available online. So
it is on there.
That was my question.
Yeah, I know this is an eye chart, so I've got a couple of little better maps, not much better, but this is the map of the city, and it's got the existing corridors. You can pass it around. There's a little legend in the far corner, and it shows existing Elizabeth River Trail. It shows some of our existing bike lanes, some of our sharrows are our shared bike lanes. And then in really fine print, the old dotted line covers these 12 corridors that it's in this book that's being handed out. But I guess the most important message I want to leave you with today is on the second page. And again, I apologize, I kind of posted together, but it's more of an eye chart than I expected. But this is probably the most important thing I want you to walk away with, which is the levels of protection for bike facilities. And anybody that's been out to Pungo or rural North Carolina and been on a country road where there's no shoulder, there's no light, that is probably the worst level of protection if you're out on the street on a bike. And the best level of protection would be obviously off the street on a shared use path, similar to the Elizabeth River Trail. There's no lights, there's no traffic, there's no cars. It's sharing a trail between you and folks out there walking. So what do we have? All the stuff in between. So we have the majority of the city is probably the shared lane markings, which is that second little box. We call them the sharrows. There's a lot of folks still learning it. Don't feel bad if you don't know what a sharrow is. But next time you're out driving about, you'll see the bike icon. You'll see the two little arrows up above it. That basically means a bike is allowed to be in that section. First of all, let me preface and say all bikes are allowed in the city streets in Norfolk. We obviously don't allow bikes on the highways and freeways, but we want to be a bike-friendly city. We know that there's some opposition that not everybody agrees that there should be bikes out and about, but there are organized places to ride, and there's some areas of the city that are very challenging, and we're trying to work forward to figure that out over time. The third section is what we call an on-street bike lane. And you've seen those, probably like maybe the oldest section. John, you got the history on it, but there were some sections that VDOT projects that put in. Maybe Church Street is a good example where you've got a little bike lane, kind of a narrow lane on the side with separated by a white stripe, and that's a dedicated bike lane. Not everybody uses it, but that was one of the things that was in, kind of put in from the past, and we're moving forward with some ideas on how to make improvements over time. Then this fourth box down here is what we call an on-street buffer bike lane, and it typically has at least a couple feet of crosshatch area that separates the bike lane from the vehicular lane and offers a little more protection from cars and trucks and you know, big mirrors and SUVs and all that good stuff. The next one is a separated bike lane. That is probably more representative of what you see locally here is where you see the weight posts and millimeters on Llewellyn. And then the other area would be separated bike lane, would be 35th Street, where you see the yellow post. I've got some photos here in a second. I'll walk you through it. And then off trail is anybody that's been on Elizabeth River Trail or off trail multi-use pass. That's the best protection you can have. So it covers just about every type of rider. We're not here to just try and build like a commuter network. Although commuters are, there's, you know, diehards that will people being, and we got some thumbs up in the room. We got folks that'll, you know, be on their bike whether it's raining sideways or a beautiful day like today. But we also want to open up the door for folks that maybe aren't comfortable getting out on a bike and never really had a place to ride. Or think of, you know, today's youth that's, you know, trying to get off the training wheels and needs a little more room. Maybe there's some areas where there's parking on the streets and it's not that safe. So having a little level of protection or a separated bike lane offers a little hope, and we're getting some positive feedback by some of the things that we've put in place so far. So what we have is a demonstration loop. This is the next page, and I think a lot of you are familiar with it, just being in this neighborhood. It's a little over 5 miles, and it basically covers Llewellyn, 35th Street, sections of Collie and Olney. And there's a legend there that also shows some of these different type of facilities, what we call a demonstration loop. So it's got 5 different type of facilities, from everything from a regular bike lane to a cycle track or cyclocross, cycle track, where we've got a couple game-changing things that are new since last year. We've taken over a couple of vehicular lanes and converted them into dedicated bike lanes along Llewellyn and 35th Street, which is kind of a game changer. We took out the center turn lanes and converted that into a two-way section to take your bikes down the middle of the street. So next section just kind of shows you a couple photos, and this is taken off Llewellyn here. This is over by the tracks just north of 21st Street. You'll see these green painted boxes. The green has helped the cyclist get lined up for either a transition section or across an intersection, so it's clear where the cyclist should be in the green and where the vehicle should not. You might see a couple green crosshatch sections across intersections. It's just to make you aware that there are bikes that may be traversing across that intersection. We're not going to paint the whole town green, I promise you, it's expensive. But it was a way to sort of show off the bike facilities and show that we have something new and get the message out there that we want to be a bike-friendly city and offer these type of facilities for folks that are interested. This other section was taken down by Llewellyn by the Harrison Opera House, where it had the white post. You heard the horror story of the snow cloud that took out the white post. I think I'm going to write a children's book on that because it might be kind of fun. I'll explain that later. But the white posts are back, and people are loving it. We have a couple of bike and head counters I'll let you be aware of. And what it does is it counts pedestrians in the sidewalk on the section of Olney and also on Llewellyn. And also picks up cyclists in the street. And we've got a snapshot from April, and we're probably averaging about several hundred pedestrians a day, just because there's some schools there that are people are using the sidewalk pretty heavily. And we're probably averaging right now a little over 50 cyclists on those 2 sections. So we're continuing to do some counts, and so if someone says nobody ever rides it, don't believe them, because people are riding it and people are walking it. And I'm not here to sell it. I'm a engineer, so I'm not a sales guy. But, we built it as a demonstration project, so I kind of plead and beg, let's keep it going for the full year so we get to evaluate what's working, what's not working out well. We made some adjustments on 35th Street to help people get in and out of their driveways, whether they're in residence or in a business or coming in and out of the church. So we did make some adjustments. Here's the fun pictures. This last week we took the Girl Scouts for a ride. There was a Girl Scout that was she should be your next speaker here because she's very impressive. Her name was Elsa. She came up with her own merit badge for cycling for the city of Norfolk and wanted to use a demonstration loop. And super organized person and wanted to do a bike ride during our Bike Month event, and we took these Girl Scouts for a ride, and we did the full loop, and folks are working on getting their merit badge, and they think it might be a regular thing, you know, from years to come. The reason I'm showing you that photo, I just wanted to give you an update of what 35th Street is, what that's like, and if you haven't been down here. Here's another section of 21st Street, which is kind of 21st and Cali, which is kind of treacherous because now it becomes a shared section, intersection, where we got the folks that was leading the group here, but we got them sort of queued up at the light, and then we're getting ready in the background. You'll see the white post. We're getting ready to go what the kids call the hill, which is the underpass of Cali, which they had a blast doing that. And so there is some method to the madness on having these levels of protection, and that's what I want you to leave here with. What's coming up in the bike and ped world? I got some projects listed for this summer, or actually this year, which is a Lafayette Boulevard. It's the East Gateway Streetscape, and there's details in there. Basically, we're taking a couple of vehicle lanes and converting those to bike lanes between Tidewater Drive and Chesapeake Boulevard. There's also some Robin Hood Road resurfacing that's going to be going on. And what I want to mention is when there's a chance to resurface, and if it makes sense and we have public meetings and we get some agreement to move forward with our strategic bike plan, we'll try and save, be efficient and save some energy and money in terms of restriping that street or that configuration to include the bike facility if it makes sense. And this is one that they're going to resurface Robin Hood Road between Chesapeake Boulevard and Military, and it's most likely going to see bike lanes in there. That's the plan. Susan and John and I and a few others are working on a wayfinding plan, which is sort of identifying the bike loop and offering a little more information whether you're on a bike, and this includes pedestrians in the neighborhood, like how far you might be from the zoo, or how far you might be from ODU, or how far from downtown. What this loop is called, to kind of promote people that might be wanting to get out and about on more of a recreational use, to be able to use these loops and these sections a little more efficiently. And then we're also working on a bike share program. I don't know if you're familiar with bike share. It's very popular in Northern Virginia, popular in big cities. Even you've heard of city bikes out in New York. We've got some sponsors interested in signing up for a bike share program, hopefully this year. And we're targeting the dense, waterfront downtown area to start, and working basically out to like a 3-mile radius to cover areas like ODU. And there's a sponsorship program. So if you're looking to sponsor bike share, come see me after that, and we'll tell you more about that. But it was kind of a chicken and egg thing. If we had bike share, we didn't have dedicated facilities to ride. Where are you going to ride? You're borrowing a bike for a few hours, and so we think we've got some. I'm very optimistic that we'll be able to get a bike share program going this year. So this other page just shows you a typical cross section of this Lafayette Boulevard Gateway, and take a note of the cross section at the bottom where it shows the vehicular lanes, the turn lanes, and then the dedicated lanes up against the curb there, and you've got some streetscapes up. And then this is a typical flyer, so you're going to see this is a process coming out of Public Works where we team up with other city staff and divisions to make sure we get the right story. You're going to see these mailers come out to you on regular projects moving forward. So it's kind of a lessons learned on the bike loop in general, but any major public work projects in the future shouldn't be a surprise to you. So you're going to get that, and there may be invites to public meetings ahead of time. And then the last page, I just want to tell you, May is Bike Month. It's been a consistent thing that we had to get some help from our friends at ARFOS. And then we've got all kinds of events, from Ride 2 events to the Tides. One thing I want to tell you is the Elizabeth River Trail is always been popular, but it's getting some attention now. There's about 26 to 28 corridors that are sort of sectioned up, and they're looking for sponsors. And there's a Elizabeth River Trail Foundation that's forming to sort of enhance the trail itself with all kinds of fun ideas and projects. So you'll be hearing more about the Elizabeth River Trail. There's some rides along the Elizabeth River Trail, but you can check the website there. I put the web info on the top. You'll be hearing about a bike campaign where we're trying to promote, a little more safe riding by, or safe travel, I should say, for both vehicles and pedestrians and, cyclists, motorists and cyclists. So the motorists, I don't know if you do this, there's a 3-foot law that you can't be more than 3 feet next to a bike if you plan on passing it. So some people are getting a little close to the bikes. I'll just rattle off the rules real quick. The other point I already made is share the road with cyclists. The bikes are allowed in the city streets. And then watch out when you open your car door if you're parking on the street. There's actually a dooring law. You can get a citation for that. But we haven't had too many incidents, I don't think, on the dooring. But cyclists are just as guilty about not following the rules. So what are the rules for cyclists? Follow the rules of the road. Stop at the stop sign. Stop at the street light. At the lights. Yield to pedestrians. Bike with the flow of traffic. That's probably our biggest thing. If we had more cyclists on a regular basis, that reverse flow or that flow problem would probably be addressed just by the cyclists alone. And then bike helmets are mandatory for kids under 14 and under. We're promoting, put the lights on, the white light in the front, the red light in the tail light in the back. And then use the bike lanes and the buffer bike lanes. We build them for you, so we're trying to get folks off the sidewalk and in those areas. We don't want to put them in the middle of the street if they're not comfortable at that level, but there are some folks you'll see that are basically seasoned riders that we want to use the facilities. And then, if you are riding on the sidewalks outside like the downtown district, make sure that you're being courteous with pedestrians and all that. So here's kind of like the page of the website. If you want more info, I just kind of copied my business card in the far corner. I'm here if you have any other questions or you want to learn more about the bike stuff. You're more than welcome. The Bike and Pet Commission meets the first Thursday of every month at 4 o'clock on the 10th floor of City Hall, and you're more than welcome to participate. And it's just not cycling, there's pedestrians, folks that show up from time to time and want help in their neighborhood. So, any questions?
The bike lane at the Lockwood River Bridge was created hoping to slow down traffic. The traffic is actually gotten faster, and cars are frequently in the bike lane, blowing up horns at bikers. What's being done to address that?
John, maybe Johnny can help me. Saying with the observation of the bike lanes, you're saying the speed is your
well, I have a lot of emails with John.
Okay,
speed, but I do notice that it is faster, a lot faster, but they're in the bike lane as well. It's not uncommon.
And I'm sorry, you're talking about
south of the
Anybody riding on Granby physically on the road and not on the sidewalk on a bicycle is very foolish.
Yeah.
Very foolish.
I think it's a learning thing for that new bike lane over the bridge.
Yeah.
It's just like the other bike lanes. We'll get used to it. Maybe a couple of flexible posts there in front of that where it starts right at the bottom of the bridge.
It is confusing.
Because it is a wide lane. People are used to using that as a vehicle lane. So it's something.
We talked about it when it first came out. John helped put a few more signs out.
We're going to add a few more pavement markings as well to help realize folks that they got to transition over. So we still have a few tweaks to do to that. But how do you observe traffic in the lane? Right.
I did have to put some.
Oh, yeah.
Not every day, but
They come off the Lakewood Bridge and turn right into the bike lane, go right on up.
Yep.
I've seen them many times.
Yeah, maybe some of those plastic posts or something that might be.
So from the 3 lanes at the light, they're basically not getting over.
It's been that way for years. It just changed. People
are just used to it because they turn off the Lakewood Bridge turning left onto Granby. And I did it this morning. And I didn't see a guy this morning, but I've seen him several times.
You drove down the bike lane?
I didn't, not today. Not today.
What did he say?
You can though, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Not the suburban,
A couple of comments and questions and concerns. I've been biking since the tunnel started tunnelling. So I bike every day to work, 360 days a year. And I love it. When the bike lanes came out, I was like, great, because I go down the Welland every day. A couple of things on the Welland, especially under all those trees. When you get a storm or it rains, the travel lanes quickly get cleared, but all that stuff, all that trash goes into the bike lanes. And it gets pretty hazardous, so all the pine needles and branches there, you're dying. So can there be more frequent street sweeping through there?
Yeah, actually, we got a better frequency. Funny thing is, our bike and ped counters are out there. Well, now, I wouldn't have predicted this, but I guess I should have. Our street sweepers are clipping the wires on the ped counters when they're, so now I know exactly what day they're in there, the street sweepers out there. So if someone comes back and says, we're not sweeping properly, you know what we are. We're still trying to keep that area clean, and I know when we first opened up, we had, you know, acorns and tree debris, and it's just a constant, battle, but we are getting some help on our counterparts in Public Works to try and keep it clean. And then, you know, give a lot of attention this month with the bike month. We want to show it off, but yeah, I mean, it's good input.
Keep those lanes. Don't get rid of those lanes.
Yeah.
I'll add that the city has to replace 2 of its street sweepers. It's actually in its plan anyways. So our operations division actually acquires narrower vehicles that can more easily pick up debris within the bike lane. So hopefully, it's going to be several months before those are required, but that will be certainly an improvement to see.
The worst place is Llewellyn because those trees overhang.
Yeah,
right.
Those are wide bike lanes through there, so they can get in there.
Right.
And it's, I mean, I notice it comes through more frequently, but if it comes through after storms, that's when it's the worst.
Right.
Everything just gets blown in there. The markings for the Elizabeth River Trail, if you don't know where you're going, there's a lot of signs that are missing. And
Yeah,
it goes both ways. You
yeah.
kind of get lost you can get lost in the downtown area and going through Freemason.
We just did a sweep from, that's a good point, we did a sweep from Cloncurry, which is where it ends at the Hampton Boulevard side street, all the way down to Larchmont. We put a bunch of signs to refresh that. There is a whole different branding and marketing strategy that the Elizabeth River Trail Foundation has. It's pretty bright and colorful. I think you're going to like it when it comes out, but we put the old, what I call the old Pelican signs, we put those up, even though we weren't too excited about them, but we put them up just so people could kind of find their way through it. And then that's going to hopefully generate a little more sponsorship and folks wanting to adopt that section. But yeah, there's probably still people trying to get their way off the Elizabeth River Trail from last week, but it can get kind of confusing, but we're trying to stay on top of it, so.
Great stuff.
Go ahead.
Any guidelines for skateboarding?
Skateboarding kind of comes and goes in the bike ped world, or the bike ped commission. We've had probably about like a year and a half ago, the toughest issue was skateboarding downtown. Like they wanted to skateboard downtown and they were getting pulled over, you know, by MPD and others, and by being in the street. It's pretty dangerous. And then, you know, we don't allow skateboarders on the sidewalk. And I think you'll see an occasional skateboard on the bike lane. They're in the bike facilities.
Is that where you prefer them?
Probably better than the street, but up to this point, I don't know. Like it's probably safer for them in some sections. But when you start getting into the sharrows, it's a little tough because they can't keep up with traffic. They're hard to see. Not all of them have lights. You know, they don't have the lights at night. That's pretty dangerous. So I don't know. I'd have to meet with you specifically and see where do you see them and how we can kind of address that. But there are folks that choose to walk in the bike infrastructure, especially on Llewellyn. I talked to a lady that was walking it, and she had back problems, and she prefers to walk on asphalt versus concrete. And it's not bad because it's not, you know, it's not heavily populated. We've got the data, but if it was another city where you had, you know, 500-600 people using it on a regular basis, it could be a problem. So I don't know that with the skateboard, getting back to your question, I don't know, we have to kind of go back and see what people are doing. I think at the end of the day, like, if there are skateboards in the city, they just we gotta figure out where they can be safe and not. But there are folks that I see, you know, I manage the light rail service, and I see them carry the train or carry them on the train, and they're pretty respectful. They just use it as a means from A to B, and they're, you know, polite when it comes to, you know, working around pedestrians and not you know, following the rules of the road, stopping the lights and all that. So
I guess the other group that I could see wanting to use the bike lane because it is safer even for them is the mopeders, or anything that.
Yeah, no, we don't want motorized. Yeah, we really don't want.
There's the motorized bicycles too.
Yeah,
so
we don't want
the next issue.
Yeah, we don't want the scooters and the motorized vehicles on there. It's just too fast for that. And unfortunately, you got these kind of gray, these modes of transportation that are kind of gray that you know, they tend to pick the rule that works for them I think the scooters are probably the worst that I see when I'm out and about, where they want to be a bike and they want to be a pedestrian up on the sidewalk, and they want to jump down with the traffic, and then want to get on the freeway. So I could go all night on those. But anyways, I think if you've got specific examples, I'll be happy to work with you, especially if you see something that's out and about and figure it out. At the end of the day, we don't want to be hurt. So we're building these facilities. To save somebody from getting trapped underneath an SUV on a bike. And because they have a dedicated place to ride, it's worth it in my opinion. At the end of the day, we want to make people safe. You may not be riders in the room, but some people want to get out and enjoy the city, and other folks are going to have kids or have kids that are getting older and they're going to want to commute, and that's a good way to go around or get around. Joe just talked about the folks that he's helping. You got some people that they don't have a choice; they don't have a vehicle. That's their only means to get around the city is by an old rusty beach cruiser, and we're protecting those folks too. So,
in your strategic plan, there was a reference to raised crosswalks that also are used as speed humps. Is there any consideration of those in Colonial Place or Riverview, especially in the places like on Delaware or a proposed crosswalk on?
Yeah, those facilities typically are used when you have developed a neighborhood greenway or something of that nature. That's really. And there are no plans right now in the strategic plan to do any areas that would suggest the use of speed humps. Most of the areas that we're having facilities put in place are already at least collector street status, which means they display a lot of traffic in general. Speed humps, city policy-wise, are really traditionally used for local neighborhood streets and not for major roadways.
I was thinking, like, for instance, on Delaware, when we had the two crosswalks going to the Greenway from the walkway, and then on Virginia, where there is a walkway along the water, and then the new stop signs, and then there was some questions in previous discussions that maybe there should be a crosswalk there. So, and then considering there is cars that fly through there, and maybe a speed hump or something like that.
Yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you maybe offhand about those sort of things to a certain degree, but just quickly, as far as we had done speed studies in the past on Delaware, and they just don't, although you may not like the speed levels that you see, the actual data does not suggest that speed levels are really that high. You have a moderate speed problem, but it's not within the range of the city policy with regard to speed humps. Okay. We have a policy with regard to when speed humps could be utilized.
You mentioned it kind of earlier, but I'm a big runner, and I like to use the bike lanes to run because it's way smoother. You guys are okay with that? Because I've gotten some mixed guidance on whether you're.
I'm on camera, but we're not. We haven't announced that. Anybody outside of bike can work. And I think with the volume, to be fair, with the volume, I don't really have an issue with it. Personally, I think, but if it gets to a point where you've got like groups of runners or the speed's so aggressive that somebody feels unsafe about it on either end, I think that's where you kind of come in. But like this lady that was, she's just going for a walk in the morning. It was fine. We're not trying to make it so unfriendly or so unusable. But at the end of the day, it's designed for bikes, so that if you do see a big group that's cyclists, you step aside. Share it. I guess I don't know that we've had that as like a major issue come up or concern. So.
Sure. Most of the time they can't hear you because they're listening to the music.
Yeah.
If I were to make a couple suggestions, if people are going to run in them, particularly where we have the separated and there's a hash line, stay in the hash line part. And then, as you pointed out, if you are running, have one ear pod out, just so if I'm a cyclist and I'm coming, I'm just going to say to your left, so you know I'm coming by.
Shouldn't they run or walk against traffic too?
No.
Walk.
Go with traffic, and that's for cyclists.
No, I'm talking about runners, not bikes.
I understand that.
Really? I've always been taught to walk against traffic.
I know runners they do that, but I would say if they're going to use the bike lane, they should go in the same direction. That would be my suggestion.
Yeah, you want to go with the flow of traffic. You know, because what happens is that it becomes a chicken thing. I don't know if you're turning left or going straight. It's a guessing game, and it's, you know, statistics have shown that that's not the way to do it. There's some, you know, lessons or teaching lessons say don't be a salmon, don't swim upstream, don't go the wrong way. So whatever people are doing, we want to promote going with the flow of traffic. So good point. Thanks for doing that or bringing that up. The other thing on the Elizabeth River Trail, we're actually toying with the idea of like different services for runners and more of a dedicated running facility, so that if we go back and add to it or add some width, maybe we can consider some softer material that's, you know, easier on your knees and your back as a runner, but still could be complimentary for people walking and riding. So we're still considering that. There's all kinds of, you know, it's fun now. There's all kinds of different material that folks are trying. So we're kicking around some ideas of maybe doing a trial section of Elizabeth River Trail.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
One question. You say you were the engineering end of this. Have you done any figures as to how many bicycle riders actually use Llewellyn as opposed to how many cars?
We've got the counts for the cyclists. I'd have to go back and do a ratio with you, and I think we've got, I don't know that we have average daily counts, you know, before. I don't know that we have the after to compare that, but it is something that we can do over time. But I've got the daily counts of cyclists using both Llewellyn and Olney since the month of April, when we put the counters out there. And the counters that we had before were set up on the Elizabeth River Trail, so we wouldn't.
But can you share these with us, the numbers?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to do a summary, and when we get that out, I don't know that I can compare it to the daily traffic, unless you've got some.
Well, I would only just say this. You know, it's a pilot program. It's a small, even though it's 4.5 miles, or a little over 5 miles. It's significant to the city and all. But you got to put it in context. It's the beginning of a system. Until you start connecting and make a network where you've got other roadways feeding into this pilot loop that we've developed, you're only going to attract a certain amount of ridership. That's like putting Military Highway from one end of the city to the other, but not having any streets that intersect with Military Highway. You would only have traffic where residents lived on Military Highway that would use the street. So we're starting to build a network, and that's when you will start to see the riderships go up. People feel more comfortable riding with children, young folks. So it's the momentum. It's just the beginning of a system. In the city, we can maintain the momentum and get folks to understand that it's building a network, it's transportation, it's healthy neighborhoods. It's a lot of different things that we're trying to do. It's like walking your dog. When you see activity on the street, it's more livable street. There's a lot of more things to it than just honestly being a bike tool. It has like a lot more elements to it. So I just throw that out. And it's an equity thing.
Going back to the skateboarders.
Pardon?
Going back to the skateboarders.
Yes.
On Colley Avenue, around 26th Street, there's 6 or 7 of them use it for a slalom course, and they compete on this. And I've seen
Thanks for sharing that.
several of them come out into the street and vehicles have to, because my office is right at 24th and Colley. And that's one thing I went, oh my Lord, because they're doing this on the skateboards. So,
yeah, skateboards are something else. I've had the pleasure of working on some of the big facilities within the city, between light rail, the Amtrak station, the downtown transit center. They don't like to play with, you know, anything less than a multi-million-dollar project to go out there and tear it up. So they're always looking for something challenging. I used to joke in City Hall, it says, you know, you got a good project when the skateboarders are out there first, trying to tear it up because they like what you built and they want to, you know, use it. So you're the first that's to share that.
I'm jealous because I can't do it.
Yeah. We'll take a look at it. And one thing I failed to mention is John's been with us, you know, since day one on the strategic plan to look at the capacity of these vehicle lanes. So we're just not taking 4 sections of road at random and say, well, let's take 4 and get down to 2 and then hope everything's cool with it. So there is some logic behind the numbers. We shared that with our consultants that were part of it. So there is some threshold on where you can convert and where you have to leave it alone. And where you're going to see within the strategic plan is we're built out, we can't do much, it's just going to be a share road. It's going to be, share the road from curb to curb, and we can't allow to take that capacity down on the vehicular side. So there was some logic. I'm looking at Llewellyn on 35th Street, and there's some other folks that there are some other areas that we continue to look at. And one thing I want to leave you with is we're looking at connections. John made a good point about the loop, and it may or may not work for you. I started with light rail. I can't sell light rail to people that live in Ocean View. It doesn't work for them. So until the network connects, it only works for folks that are along that line or that can use that section from right outside of their door. But one thing I want to let you know, and you'll be hearing about more long-range plans, are to connect Granby up to Ocean View with some type of bike network. We've got some challenges under the underpass. We're looking at sections of Granby, and you might have read or heard about things that we've got some future grants, but nothing in the queue this year. But other than continue to study it and work on the designs. But there is some future grant money that might help us with building a bigger network that John talked about that will get a better connection to Ocean View, and hopefully this thing all gel. And if you could go get a bike share for an afternoon, you get to cruise up a bike lane and feel safe about it and enjoy the city. So thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to the business part of our meeting. Mr. Secretary, minutes?
We have minutes in our latest newsletter. We have some copies that are sitting on the table up there. But if you haven't gotten a copy of the newsletter, grab a copy up there, and the minutes will be in the second from the last page.
And did everybody get a copy of the newsletter for this past month? Treasurer's report.
There's treasure reports on each of the tables, but beginning balance was $10,564.99. We had a outstanding month of revenue, $1,990.10, primarily because our media chairperson shook down all the advertisers that hadn't been paying, and then expenses, $1627. That's actually 3 months of newsletter bills that come about $517 each. State corporation commissions and some garden and mermaid expenses. That in addition to our CD, which we just rolled over for another year, our total assets in the Civic League at this moment is $16,165.76.
Anyone have any questions? Meteor chair.
Nothing to add, except that it was a nice month of collections. We're pretty much even, only one advertiser is 2 months behind, not working on him. Everybody else is keeping up.
Okay, excellent. Anyone have any questions for David Spriggs, our media chair? Membership.
Unfortunately, I don't have my exact numbers. I just got off the road a few hours, half an hour ago. But we had about low 90s last month. I have about 6 or 7 more to put in. So we're right around 100 members right now. Just a reminder, if you're going to vote on any Civic League items, you need to be a member. So if you had a membership, come and see me. I will get you signed up. And we'll be doing some voting in the next Civic League meeting. So I'm sure I'll be busy then.
Okay. Our environmental chair is not here. Jack, do you have anything from Audrey for this meeting? No. Thank you. Community improvement?
Nothing, except the mermaid's still there. And the garden is fully.
Looks good. The garden looks good.
Yeah, mermaid's there.
Okay. Next on the agenda will be going over the bylaw amendments.
We can do that. Good evening. I'm John Robertson. I'm the secretary. We had a request request from the city to include the dog park formally in our civic league. We've always been responsible for it, but the city is redoing all their dog park rules throughout the city. They've got 14 dog parks now, believe it or not. And so they wanted to bring a little more organization and asked us to form a dog park committee. And in looking at the bylaws and in doing that, we decided if we had to vote on a dog park committee coming into the bylaws, then it was a good time for us to also vote on some other things that we've been talking about for several years. So you should have in front of you a copy of the bylaws. The red markings are the new proposed things. The yellow with the strikeout are things that we're striking out. And then the rest of it in black is the existing bylaws. What I'm proposing to do tonight is to go through this, not line by line, but just kind of give you the broad overview. Stop me and ask me questions about a particular section if you want to know what that means or what we're trying to do or why we thought that was a good idea. And give suggestions as well about anything else that you'd like for us to consider to change. This is going to be a proposal without any changes from tonight. This will be the proposal that will be put before the membership in June to be voted on as new bylaws. This is also up on our website now, so you can go to our website, take a look at the old bylaws, take a look at the proposed bylaws, download a copy of either one or both if you want to. So if you didn't get a copy tonight, you can go to the website and you can still get that, or we can get you another copy later on. But with that said, I'm just going to walk through this. The first section that you see in red is an objective, and in section 3 under the objectives, it adds a section that says that we are against discrimination in all forms that we can think of. We always have been for extant memory now, but at the same time, it's good for us to get this into the bylaws and make sure that everyone knows that we do not discriminate, will not tolerate discrimination, and are not going to discriminate. Under Article 3, membership and voting, we're clarifying a little bit that we have a facility for people who are in the neighborhoods who either own property in the neighborhood and don't live here, or people who actually live here to be in the civic league. And that's pretty clear. But we also have an ability for people who are outside the civic league. For example, if you have a business on Granby Street and you don't have a property in the neighborhood, or you don't live in the neighborhood, and you want to participate in the civic league, well, we're kind of glad to have you. And we have an ability for us to be able to vote on that at the board level and give you a membership at the board level, even though you don't live in. But we added language to make it a natural person. In other words, a corporation can't be a member of the civic league. It has to be a real person, a human person. And that's all. That word just means, in legalese, that just means a natural person walking and talking. We also added subsequent renewals, and just a lot of this is cleaning up language that was a little bit vague or unclear, or the syntax was bad. So you'll see some changes in there that really don't change the meaning of what we're trying to do, but change the wording a little bit to make it more clear for people. So, Section 3, membership commences upon receipt of your membership dues, and the membership runs through December 31st of each year. We've changed the grace period from 60 days to 30 days, so that if you don't do your membership renewal in the month of January, you lose your voting privileges until you do renew. But during the month of January, hopefully you'll come into the January meeting and you'll go ahead and vote, and you'll pay your membership, and everything will be great. Section 5, members in good standing. This allows us to say, if somebody's trying to hold up 2 hands instead of just one, we don't have to count them twice. It's kind of an odd thing, but we want to make sure that we only count one person, one vote. And then Section 6 is a brand new section. We've had a lot of requests for proxy voting. Civic leagues across the city are going to proxy voting because just like we used to have 40 people come to a civic league meeting, and now we have 15 or 20. People are busy, people have all kinds of things going on. We'd like to give those people who are at home, who might like to come but have kids, have to put them to bed, have other things that they have to do, an ability to register a vote. We're going to stick our toe into this you'll notice that some of this language will say, it's kind of qualifying to say that when the board implements it, this paragraph simply allows us to do proxy voting. It does not mandate proxy voting. So we're gonna kind of walk into this very slowly and make sure that we're not ruining our voting ability and messing up our voting. But this allows us to do proxy voting. And basically, the way it would work would be that if Dave Spriggs can't come tonight, he would call me and say, hey, I want to vote on the member, on the motion that's coming up tonight, but I can't be there. We would have a form that the Civic League is going to develop that would be available on the website. He would fill that form out, he would sign it, he would give it to me. I as a member, he as a member, I would bring it in, and that vote would count as long as we got it into the vote, into the membership chair and then into the secretary for certification. So we're going to have a process where we try to make sure as much as we can that the proxy voting is just crystal clear and absolutely ironclad. That's why we're sticking our toe in it and we're moving forward. But we've got had a lot of requests for it, and we think it's something that we ought to do for the membership. Any questions so far? Anything that I've said? Yes, ma'am?
How do we know the person that's voting by proxy is going to understand the issue that they're voting on?
That is it.
Well, that's a good question. The only reason that you would want to proxy vote would be an issue, for example, like the one or two that may come up next month, where we have our annual meeting. We always select officers. We're going to have some bylaws changes. We have to publish those in advance in the newsletter, and people will know exactly what we're going to vote on. In that case, you would know what you were going to be voting on, and you might be able to do a proxy for that. In other cases, someone may bring up a motion from the floor on a particular night. That motion may not rise to the level where we have to publish it in advance. It may just be a motion that we have cookies at the next meeting. And in that case, we wouldn't have an opportunity to do a proxy vote on that simply because you don't know that that vote's going to come up. So in that case, proxy voting would be available, but you wouldn't know. And you wouldn't be able to do a proxy vote simply because you wouldn't know to put in a proxy ahead of time.
In some of the other organizations I've been a member of, and still a member of, if I knew I had to go out of town for a wedding and I really want to be a part of this meeting, I can send you a note saying, I trust Dave, he has my information, and he will vote once for him, once for me.
On whatever.
On whatever it is that night.
That's right, and that happens too.
That would give Dave 2 votes, but then I kill Dave if he votes for the wrong person. So.
And there's nothing in this paragraph that would prevent that from happening. That is a very typical way to do a proxy vote, where you say, you know, I know you, you know me, you know what I like. I trust you to vote for me that night, and I don't know what's going to come up, maybe nothing, but if it does, vote my proxy for me just so I can participate.
Again, that would have to be done ahead of time with the form filled out.
Right. But again, the form would have to be filled out. Both persons would have to be members. John and Dave would both have to be members in that case to fill out the proxy. And then that would go to Pete to make sure that they're both members. And then that would go to the secretary as a final check on the certification, just to make sure there's no hanky-panky going on. And then that proxy would count for whatever vote came up. But you're right. If you didn't know in advance, likely you're not going to be voting proxy. But this just gives us an opportunity that people have been asking us to do, to be able to vote when you can't be here. And we've had plenty of people who said, I can't be there, but I'm dying to vote. This is a way to do it.
Is there going to be a stipulation that they have to attend, I don't know how you would quantify this, a certain percentage of meetings in order to vote by proxy?
Not for members. We do have something similar for board members, where they have to be in attendance in a certain number, but not for members. And I'm not sure how you would enforce that either. I'm not sure how you would.
Yeah, that would be hard unless you have everybody sign in.
Yeah,
we would.
Yeah.
Well, they're here on YouTube.
And, well, yeah, and now that we're starting to record off meetings.
We would hope that we can have discussions like this on the bylaws at the meeting prior. So we have the discussion, and then all it is presenting the final product in the month prior, and then we vote on it. So it's not like we're having a discussion tonight, we're going to vote on bylaws tonight, because then people do not have that information they need to vote. So hopefully we'll be able to do our business a month ahead of time, so then now it's just a de facto vote. And then people have a chance to see what is actually being voted upon.
And those are good suggestions. And like I say, this paragraph is designed to give us the ability to do this. Not necessarily we're going to implement it next month or the month after. This gives us the ability to do it as we figure out things like that question. That's a very good question. I'm going to think about that. That's exactly why we're going through it. Under treasurer, and that's on the next page, you'll see that it just clarifies that the membership doesn't just review the budget, the membership approves the budget. It's the member's money. So the membership has to approve whatever happens. And clarifies that it's the year just passed and so forth. In section 2, a little bit farther down, clarifies that the Civic League is governed by a board of directors, says who they are, standing committees and the elected officers. We had a question, actually when we were going over this at the board meeting, we had a question about whether or not someone, me for example, I'm secretary, I'm wearing 2 hats. I'm secretary and I'm also committee chair of one of the committees. And does that mean I get 2 votes? And the answer is no, it doesn't, but it wasn't in the bylaws that way. So we wanted to put that in the bylaws to clarify that one person, one vote in all cases. So that's what that paragraph does. Board of Directors is responsible to the membership, of course, and carries out the day-to-day activities. And it clarifies again that the membership is in control of the Civic League, not the Board of Directors. The membership is responsible. The responsible party of the Board of Directors is responsible to the membership. Again, a little bit of paragraph in section 4, just except it's provided herein because it changes some things. Representing the Civic League, nobody can do that. On the next page, Article 5, League shall be supported by 7 standing committees because we're adding a committee. So we changed that from 6 to 7. We put the neighborhood mermaid, now that she's up and running, she's under the community improvement, and we changed the environmental committee term down there from Riverfest, which is no more, to environmental festival activities. That covers any kind of festival we have. Next page, we have an immediate advertising subcommittee. We clarified that the subcommittee chairperson is going to prepare invoices and send those out. And just as Dave was describing, bringing everybody up to date on things, it's part of that system that we have to make sure that people are paying their bills for the advertising and make sure that we know exactly where we stand for each bill. And then there's a report for that. And we audit those records as well as the treasurer records every year. And again, there's some clarifying language there that those 2 audits are combined into one audit. I'm sorry, we have a question?
Now, did you say the specific number of people on the board to be covered, the Riverview representative?
Yes, he's farther down.
You got it?
Yeah.
Well, it'd be the Riverview representative if all the rest of the officers.
Yeah, it's actually
Colonial Place and vice versa.
But I mean, the number of people on the board is varied.
The extra person, they're actually considered an officer.
Okay.
On the following page, somehow we had numbers or letters on paragraphs, so we changed 5 to E and 6 to F, and then we added 7, and then we changed it to G from the dog park committee. So again, that's just housekeeping stuff. But we did add a dog park committee, and the dog park committee has responsibility for the neighborhood dog park. It acts as a liaison with the public, with the city, for the public-private partnership, and provides reports to the membership and the board every month about what they're doing, what they need, that kind of stuff. Nothing magical about that, just basically doing what they're doing. We've got a group of people out there now who are doing just a phenomenal job in the dog park. They keep it managed, they've got mulch out there, they've got benches, they've got chairs, they've got dog toys, they've got water, they've got everything out there. And it's just amazing.
That's good. Ask you about one other thing. We've got these 3 historic assigned sites. Who's responsible for taking care of those?
Environmental committee.
Is it written in that?
Yep. She would probably rather know, but yes, it is. Clarifies that we'll have 1 or more chairpersons. the dog park committee has co-chairs. And then farther down, it also has to do, that language that we had about who gets to vote at the board, that covers that case too, where you have a co-chair of a committee, you only get one vote. They have to fight among themselves and decide who gets to vote when there's a vote, but you can't have two co-chairs and two votes on a committee, you only get one. But you can't have co-chairs, and we do on the dog park committee. Then we have some language about taking people out if they don't do their job. And then finances. This is a big section here. The finance part had gotten added to over the years, and a paragraph taken out and stuff added to, and it was just confusing. We didn't even understand it completely. So this is a little bit more clear. The treasurer prepares a proposed budget, contains all the projected income and expenses for the upcoming year. And we've broken it into budget lines. We've done that for a number of years now, and that seems to be working great. Each budget line is basically allocated to a committee and to an activity. The Mermaid has a budget line, the Community Improvement has a budget line, Membership has a budget line. Each one of those functional areas has a little bit of a budget. The biggest budget is in Mr. Media Chair over here, where he gets the lion's share of the income coming in, and he has the lion's share of the expenses for the newsletter. But the rest of them have little small things for keeping up the Mermaid and keeping stamps and for Pete to be able to send things out, things like that. So those budget lines then are contained within that budget, and it's presented to the board of directors first for us to take a look at it and make sure that we think it's where it's got to be and how it's supposed to be. And then the board of directors approves it in May, and then the proposed budget gets published in the June newsletter, put on the website, and it gets submitted to the membership at our annual meeting in June. And at that, the treasurer will go over that budget and explain it to everybody at the June meeting and answer any questions and tweak that as we need to. But once that's passed by the membership at the annual meeting, then it's the responsibility of the board of directors to spend that money and take in that income and operate that budget as it's laid out. But you'll also see more paragraphs in here, more stuff farther down, proposed expenditures in excess of the total amount that has been approved by the membership shall not be exceeded without going back to the membership and saying, we need you to approve an increase. So in other words, the board of directors can spend up to the budget limit, but it can't spend more without going back to the membership and getting a specific vote to approve something else. That keeps the membership in control of the money, keeps the membership in control of the budget, and allows the board of directors to be able to run that for the membership throughout the year as we propose.
Does it allow the board of directors to reallocate money from different line items?
Basically, the board is allowed to move money around as it needs to. Sometimes we've done that, sometimes we've had to do that, sometimes we haven't, but it hasn't been clear that the board had the authority to do that. This makes it clear that the board has the authority within that proposed and approved budget. Once the membership approves the budget, and basically you're talking about expenditures, because nobody is going to argue with taking in more money. So I don't think the membership really wants to argue with us taking more income in, but the membership might argue with spending more than they've approved. So within that dollar amount, and I don't remember what their budget is, but let's say it's $8,500 that our last budget, our current budget is authorized for, then the board of directors can move that money, that $8,500 is allocated to budget lines. But the board of directors can shift those budgets as they need to. If the Mermaid gets decimated, run over by a truck, and we need $1,500 to be able to repair the Mermaid, then we need to be able to move money around within that sum of money. We usually do, try to do a fundraising for something like that, but that's just an example.
The benefit of being able to move the money around, as we prepare the budget every year, we tend to predict more than we're going to spend because we know that it's going to be voted on once a year. So the president's fund that might go towards certain things, we go a little higher because we don't want to always have to go back to the membership because we quite often don't have enough people to do the vote, and then we can't move forward. But if we have the ability to move some things around, then we can actually bring the overall budget down to a smaller amount, because we'll have that flexibility. So.
And it's typical to reprogram budgets throughout the year, whether it's governmental or a business or whatever you do. So this just says this is okay for us to do this. Any questions about that section, or any questions about anything so far? Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
When you're
ma'am.
moving money around from one pot of money to another, normally you can do that if it's the same intent as the money that was voted on. It's used for the same intent. Is that somewhere in here?
Well, we're doing the intent is for the Civic League to expend a certain amount of money. In other words, the Civic League would be taking in $8,500 off of advertising. The Civic League would be expending $8,500 on all the things that it does. And that's the way the budget has worked every year. It's a guess. I mean, any budget is a guess. It's a guess as to how much we're going to take in because we don't know what advertisers are going to drop out or come in. It's a guess as to how much money we're going to spend.
Right, it's a plan.
It's a plan. And within that, what the membership is authorizing is the membership is saying, it's okay for you to take in $8,500. Like I say, nobody's going to argue with more. But really, what they're authorizing is they're authorizing it's okay for you to spend $8,500 and no more. However, you need to spend it.
Not on certain things?
No. What we're saying is the budget lines that are within the budget are budget lines. They're not, the membership is not approving $500 for the president's budget line, and that's all she can spend, even if we have $10,000 excess.
But the original budget is, the line items are voted on, right?
I'm sorry, the
The
guidelines.
original budget, voted in June, the original line items are voted on. That's how the money is to be spent, is that correct?
That's correct.
But those are guidelines, not written.
Those are guidelines and not...
The key is right now we've been blessed that we've had a lot of advertisers. So and typically the advertising budget, it's about $500 for all the newsletters. We can go less if we don't have advertisers. But if all of a sudden all the advertisers stop, and then we still do a newsletter, then we have to have that ability to be able to pay those bills until we get to a point where we make a judgment of what we want to do. So having that flexibility, is just one of those things we don't have to bring it up to a vote.
And as a practical matter, what generally happens is, say, Lafayette Wetlands Partnership comes in with a new project and would like a donation. And we agree that we will give them $500. There's not going to be a specific line item in the budget for that donation because it's a new expenditure. We will look at, generally, in a case like that, we will look at the environmental members, the environmental committee's line item. But if she doesn't have enough money in there, we may pull a little bit from the other ones just to cover that expense.
Within the $8,500.
Yes.
Exactly. And as far, we are constrained as to where we're going to spend it. The budget and the categories are our guidelines. That's where the money needs to be spent. If something, pardon me?
That's how you arrive at the total budget.
Right. And it's the only way to arrive at the total budget, really. It's just projected.
As I'll go over the proposed budget next meeting, most of our budget is bills. Whether it's paying for insurance, paying for the state commission, for the Civic League, paying the newsletter, our expenses are typically bills that can be predicted, paying for the post office box.
And we take in as much as we can.
No, I understand that. I understand what the expenses are. There's a pretty big budget for Civic League. I understand.
That's true.
It's not all spent on bills and the newsletter. You have a lot of advertising. And typically the Civic League has had a lot of advertising that's generated revenue.
Yeah,
That just goes back into our treasury. We're not, if you take in $30,000 in advertising, doesn't mean we're going to raise our budget by that. We're still got our budget still $8,500. And if we need to spend more, we have to either move it around or come back to the Civic League for.
That cap is the safety valve, so to speak. That authorization of that's all you can spend until you come back is our safety valve.
But if you get 30,000 in revenue, our newsletter is going to be a lot thicker, probably cost $1,000.
We wouldn't be able to carry a newsletter around, probably. Okay. Got checks to be signed by the president. We clarified on the next page, section 3, we clarified reimbursement of expenses. We do occasionally have expenses. For example, we're going to have a repair day at the garden this coming Saturday where we're going to be buying some plywood, buying some wood. The folks who run the garden are going to go out, they're going to buy that wood, they're going to give us receipts, and we're going to pay them back for that expense. And under the previous bylaws, it wasn't completely clear exactly how that worked, and it wasn't clear that we needed printed receipts in order to do that, so we clarified that. We also instituted a verification process where we have 2 of the officers that got to verify that those receipts are valid before they're paid. So, pretty straightforward. And the last thing that we got on here is that we're lowering the quorum requirement from 20 members to 15. That's probably the most significant thing in this whole set of bylaws. The rationale for that is simply the fact that we don't get as many members as we have gotten in the past. And when we were getting 40 members regularly to a Civic League, 20 members having a quorum, that made sense. But quite frequently, over the past 2 or 3 years, we have not been able to vote on things, or not been able, particularly when we have restaurants come in and they have special exception permits. They're looking for some help. They're looking for something that everybody wants to do. We simply don't have enough people here. So we think that lowering that to 15 is more in line with our experience, because we keep records of how many people we have every month. And lowering the quorum requirement to 15 hopefully will get us through some of these votes where we have to postpone things and postpone things and postpone things. And then if we work into the proxy, then that might help as well. If we get back into having 40 members come to Civic League meetings, then I think we probably look at raising it again. But until then, that's the rationale for dropping it again. Any questions that you have about it? That's pretty much the end of it, other than changing some more numbers. I'm going to take Lynn first.
I have a question about proxy voting and maybe 2 people on the answer to the first one.
Okay.
Does a proxy request need to be submitted directly to the membership, or can it be submitted by another member?
The way we anticipate it working now is that there'll be a form, and you'll sign that form and say, I vote yes on proposition Y. Or in the case of John's example was, I give my proxy to Dave Spriggs to vote any way that Dave sees fit for me. And then you as a member would sign that. You have to be a member to submit a proxy. You give that proxy to any other member. You can give it to Dave or John or me or anybody. And that person also has to be a member. So you can't just have some stranger come in here with a proxy that's only signed by you as a member, but that person who brings it also has to be a member, and they have to stay and vote. They can't just drop your proxy off.
And then I have a second question.
Okay, let me just tell you that goes to Pete to verify that both of you are members. Then it comes to the secretary to verify the whole process and that the form is filled out correctly and signed and dated and all that jazz. And at that point, then the secretary, who keeps the record of the roll, the votes and all that anyway, is the one that keeps that proxy in the books and says how that's voted and when it was voted.
And is there a limit on the number of proxy votes that one member can bring and submit on behalf of other people?
Not at the present time.
We may have to talk about that.
And again, that question.
Because I was just thinking in my head, I'm going to get all my neighbors. 2-block radius, I'm going to have 30 votes.
You can tell we want to have the ability to do it, put it into the bylaws, because it has to be in the bylaws for us to be able to do it. But we don't necessarily want to start doing it until we've talked about questions just like that.
I've never seen more than two. I could never have him and him, but I could never have a third.
And you know, that's why we said we want to put a paragraph in here that will allow us to do it and get the discussion on the table. But we also want to have, as part of that paragraph, we don't want to have a requirement that we start doing it until we're ready to do it. So it's kind of a switch that's turned on and off by the board of directors. And if we see that it's being abused, if you look at that paragraph, it's got a switch in there that says the board of directors can turn it on and the board of directors can turn it off. If we see that it's being abused, or if we go, holy cow, we forgot something, we turn it right off. And all that takes is a vote of the board of directors.
Can I say one more thing?
So that's an excellent question.
And my point of view is that if you don't like what the board of directors is voting up or down, then become a board of director member.
Oh, please.
And then you can help decide what the board of directors does.
They got us open spots, huh?
Oh, please become a board of directors. Hang on, I got to get back to the slate. Did you have?
I was going
You good?
to let Pete go first.
Okay.
So do we anticipate the process being another amendment to the bylaws, or like just be a process?
No. With this amendment, this gives us the ability to take proxy votes, and then the board has to vote to implement it.
So we'll have a process will be,
and the board also has to set up a system and promulgate it. And so we've got to figure out.
But that system will not be part of the bylaws. We'll require further bylaws.
That's correct. That is correct. That is correct. Now, it does have in here that we have form. So you can't just say, oh yeah, we got bylaws, we got proxy, you know, we do that. So it does have a little bit of checks and balances. Yes, Dave.
New bylaws are adopted, quorum is 15. 13 natural members show up, each carrying, 3 of them carrying a proxy for a total of possible 16 votes. You have a quorum or not?
Yes, that is a quorum. Okay. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, the quorum count will include, it has to, by definition, has to include proxies. So, and that probably gets to the meat of what John was saying about having one person, one proxy, because otherwise you'd have one guy at Civic League meeting and he'd have 37 proxies, and you know he'd be voting for himself. And he'd be just having a conversation with himself all night. Yeah, you know, we have that anyway.
I just want to say, for the discussion record, I've not made up my mind finally yet, but I have concerns about the reduction in the quorum number. I have concerns about the removal of Section 4. These are all things that I've seen in other civic leagues.
Which Section 4 are you talking about?
Article 8, Section 4, which follows the meeting forms section, which has to do with the ability for...
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, it's it wasn't read, so I didn't say it.
And I think proxies are fundamentally good. I have concerns about the process, which, as you say, it will be evolving. But these are all things that I've seen in other civic leagues, which have contributed to the demise of the civic league, the health of the civic league, and ultimately it can lead to the manipulation of the civic league. Because civic leagues still pack a wallop downtown.
For sure.
So, and you know, we have a vibrant community. I'm as sad as anyone to not see an equally vibrant membership, but we do what we can. It's a busy world, it's a busy life. So
you brought up a lot. Let me talk about it.
So I'm just saying that because we're not voting on this tonight.
No, right.
Correct, and that there's time for additional discussion in the community, and knowing that this goes on the record, I'm just saying there are some concerns in those areas.
No, I think you're right, and you pointed out an omission that I did. Article 8, Section 4 removes the prohibition against consecutive terms in office. It wasn't read, and I apologize because I just skipped over it. I didn't even pay attention. What we have now is that no officer shall serve more than 2 consecutive terms in the same office. So you could be secretary 2 years in a row, but after that you got to stand down. And you've got to stand down at least a year, and then you come back and do whatever you want to do. The problem with it is exactly what you said, that our Civic League has gotten such small attendance and so few members participating in the board of directors and being officers and being committee members, that we don't have enough people to go around. And so what we wind up doing is we wind up, some positions become vacant and we can't fill them. And they become vacant because that person has been in that position for a couple of years and they have to step down. Where they would continue if they wanted to, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes we're glad to get rid of them, but sometimes we'd like to have them back, and we can't. And so with the Civic League, if we had 50 or 60 people and we had 20 people participating, officers and all that kind of neat stuff, then we'd have enough people to be able to fill every position and then some. And we wouldn't be worried about people rotating in and out every 2 years.
Run for office, please.
Well, I'm not questioning your motives.
No, you're absolutely.
And I've done my time on the board, and I will probably find myself back there again because I opened my mouth tonight, can't keep it shut. But,
you're not going to forget.
you know, I'm just saying, as this discussion evolves in the community over the course of the next few weeks, it's also some time for some soul searching. You know, as an organization, we want our civic league to be more vibrant. Those clauses were put in there originally to try and keep it vibrant, particularly the officer issue. It was the idea that it means you have to go out and look and encourage people.
We have to not only look and encourage, we have to drive and twist arms. It's very hard to get people to step up and volunteer. And if we have people that want to keep doing this, we can't.
Amen. We've been doing this and know what your family has given to this community.
Trying to get the question for the last couple of years that I've been involved in Civic League. We've not been able to conduct business on certain occasions. So it's a practical matter here, we're going to stop doing business when we can't get a forum together. And gentlemen, I can tell you, if we're down between 15 and 20, you've got a number of people who are seasoned members and first members who could make just as good a decision as you could with 20.
I hear you.
If that's all we have available, we'd have to use it. If that turns out to be a problem, we'll have to go back and change it.
I hear you.
There's been such a lack of volunteers that we tend to double up on committee chairs, and so there's a fear that what happens if the people that are regularly volunteering decide that they're done, and then then there's no continuity. I think that by taking the term limits isn't building an empire. It's because anybody can. I think most of us, if someone, I plan to run for treasurer for another year. But if you folks want to run for treasurer,
Please step up. I'm nervous about our police officer.
I'm nervous about our candidates. They've been here for
I think we should get him here because he has other things to do.
I have a question.
Josh, if you're okay, let's do another 5 minutes and then we'll turn it.
It was published in this month's newsletter what the proposed changes were. Is the plan, since we've had this laid out, to also put it in the newsletter for next month as well for those people, say this was brought up for discussion tonight and these
it will
met with, positively. So because, not everybody may have read the newsletter for this, and if they're going to vote for next month, they need to see it.
Changing bylaws is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same as electing officers. It's a big deal. There's nothing more important than Civic League. I can't speak to what's going to be in the newsletter because I'm not involved with it anymore. But I can tell you that it's going to be my recommendation that we do pretty much the same thing we did in May. We do it again in June with the addition of an officer slate that's being developed so that we have everybody on board. And if you didn't see it in May, maybe you'll see it in June. It's going to be up on the website, and we do have a block at the bottom of the website that calls it out.
Page 1 vote fold.
So yeah, so we're trying to do our best to publicize. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I went to the website to look at the two, and it was very confusing as to which was which. I recommend posting this, which clearly shows you the edits that you're going to be making, and then that way you don't have to guess which is the old, which is the new. This to me makes all the difference in the book. Okay, so that's a recommendation.
I will tell you that I'll take responsibility for that. I made that decision because, to me, this could be confusing to some people because they look at it and so it was a 50-50 chance. I don't.
You know about it out there both ways. So.
Well, since you brought it up, I'm gonna put you on the spot. What do y'all think about that? Should we post?
Yes.
Should we post this with the red line on it?
I can ask you.
Okay. All right.
I think it makes a great.
Color good on the website. Color
Okay,
bad on
thank
the
you.
newsletter.
Good question. Any other questions we have?
Just maybe
Yeah.
instead of having this open-ended and having someone, giving to somebody the ability to serve indefinitely, maybe have some type of limit on it.
You know,
That would be my recommendation.
we have kicked this around and kicked this around and kicked this around, and I can only speak for myself. Having been served as president for 4.5 years, I can tell you, and I'm kind of a strong personality anyway. But if you can't, as a civic league membership, if you can't man up and throw out the bones, then maybe we don't deserve what we've got anyway. You have to be able to say, this person is not a good person for this position, and we've got to vote them out. And that means that we have to step up and run. And that's been the problem that we've had, as these two guys described. So yeah, I agree with you. It's you know, it's Hobson's choice in a way of having term limits or not having term limits. But I think I'd rather go as small as we are and as few people as we have who are willing to serve and who are willing to be in positions. I'm serving in 2 positions. He's serving in 2 positions. You know, he's serving in like 3. So at this point, if these guys are willing to stay, I'd love to have them. I don't want them to have to step down just because we're that small.
And as a board, we can vote out members who aren't doing their job, if that's an issue too. You know,
and we need to do that if that's the case. Like I say, that's what we need to do, and that's the safeguard for it, I think. But that's just me.
Nobody's beating down the door to take our jobs.
No,
Yeah,
And I'm not criticizing you. No, not at all. I'm just saying.
No, we're going.
For the
If that work, you can always make,
For the
you
discussion.
can always have a referendum and say, we'd like change bylaws.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right, thank you very much. If you have more questions, you know, send them to one of us. We're on the back of the newsletter. And if you think of something after you get out of here, then send us something. We do have reasons for what we do. But thank you very much, and I appreciate it.
This is John.
Officer White, would you like to make your report at this point?
You guys are ready?
Absolutely.
Overrated.
Sorry for being late. I was assistant patrol. The call took a little bit longer than I thought it would be, so I'll kind of make this bit quick. It's 10 horses from Auto, primarily in the Colonial Place side of the Civic League. We had recently pulled the detail and put it in the red sector because they had a spike in car larcenies. The ODU detail has been adjusted, and they would now be covering the larceny detail for our area and the West End area as well. Just again, remove things from your car, lock your cars, just make it appear as though they're not a target. It's the biggest problem we're having. There's individuals in neighborhoods every night. They're checking door handles and things like that. On top of that, 3 stolen autos, again, in Colonial Place. All keys accounted for, no broken glass, which leads me to believe that they're unlocked. And then the valet key. I don't know if anybody's aware, if you buy a vehicle glove box or in the center console, valet keys in there. Apparently not everybody's removing that. So when people in the neighborhood break into vehicles, they find the keys and then they take the cars. All 3 of the vehicles that were stolen have been recovered. But that's the problem we have every month when I come in here to stolen autos is there's a key unaccounted for or the valet keys in the vehicle. The rape object sexual penetration, penetration, there we go. That the parties were known. It occurred at the victim's work. That stems from an incident that occurred in another city. An arrest has been made. It wasn't a random act or anything like that. The parties were known to each other. And then the other big thing was the aggravated assault that was over here at the 7-Eleven on Riverview Street. Just be careful if you guys are going there at night. For whatever reason, things just kind of happen there. Gentleman was pumping gas, individuals approached him, asked for money, said he didn't have any. They disagreed, they stabbed him, and then they ran off back into the park. So just be careful if you're going to go there. Not saying don't use it, but just be cautious. I saw next door a lot of Vivint salespeople come to everybody's doors. I contacted the city attorney's office. We don't have anything in the laws or codes that says they can't be out after a certain hour. I don't know why. So I asked them, told me they were coming at 9 o'clock. It doesn't say they can't do that. Just don't answer the door if you don't want to talk to them. That's what I would do. You know, I know that a lot of people come to the door, signs, soliciting, etc. But yeah, it happens. Does anybody have any concerns, questions, issues that they would like to bring to my attention? Yes, sir.
My wife and I witnessed an individual breaking into a Cox truck and watched him take the laptop and run to his car. We called 911, and the first thing, and I know you have to have certain procedures, but they question you for 5 minutes before they'll ever say they're going to send a patrol car. And then this particular case, they said, could they come talk to us about what we witnessed, and 2 weeks we hadn't seen anybody yet. We told them what kind of car it was, description of the guy. We could not get a license plate through our poor eyes, but it's just like it wasn't ever called in.
So the issue is too many questions from
the issue, first of all, we need better procedures when somebody calls 911, not the regular police line. We don't call 911 unless we see something happening. And for some reason, the 911 operators want to ask you all these questions about where do you live? Where is this occurring? What's the color of the car? Is it a 4-door? And then I understand you need certain information, but we were, all our phones now have times on it. We were on there 5 minutes and 8 seconds before the operator said, okay, I will notify the police department to get an officer out there. And of course, by then, no sense in even coming.
Well, I understand, but we do need that information, which is why they do ask those questions. Those are things that we need responding to a call, so that if we encounter the vehicle, say on our way to the location, that we have that. I'm not saying things couldn't be worked on. It could have been, somebody that we did have, like I said, I think it was a few months ago, they had some people come through. So it could just be someone that's slower. It happens. But no, I understand. It doesn't even, they send things to us before they get all the information anyway.
Right. When they start typing stuff in, it's going out.
Right.
So as they're typing in here, this is just witnessing
No, it's
car
not.
larceny.
No, you're wrong. They're not typing stuff and it's not going out.
I think
They go through all this procedure, then they notify the officers to come out. They're not doing this simultaneously unless they say there's a gunshot or a weapon involved. If it's a regular call, I'm just saying the protocol is too long. By that time, even if they send the police officers out, the perpetrators are gone. They're not going to commit a crime and stay there.
Okay. What I can do is I can find that out. And we don't have to argue. I can ask them.
No, I'm not arguing.
No, we have a differing opinion. What I'm saying is I can find out. We can find that out, and I can update you with that. We can get to the bottom of that. If it's something we can see if we can't get it approved. I've gone down there before with some other issues, and we address those as well when I talk to the rest. These are things that we can work on, but I can ask.
Sure. That's the reason I'm bringing it up. I'm not here throwing stones. I'm just saying, and I live right around the corner from Jack, and he knows in the past we've called, right where I live on the corner of East 39th and Holly. Several times I've reported, even to Chief Goldsmith when he was the chief of police, that the prostitutes bring their johns there. Once a week, every 2 or 3 days, my wife and I have to go out there and clean condoms out of the road. Tissue, things of that nature. And we know what's happening there. We see them. They're not there very long. And we have reported what we've seen, and the police officers come. I know that's funny. But anyway.
Same subject. This is 311 Lucy.
Yes.
People moved in there about 2-3 weeks ago. It was moving day. I came around the corner in my car going off someplace, and they were having a knife fight right in front of the house. A whole crowd of people, spectators. I was driving, but one of the guys was like this. I can't say he had a knife, but from what I've seen in knife fights on TV, you're not going to put it out like this. You're going to do something. So I pulled to the side of the road right by Tommy's house and called 911. So we got a fight between drivers. They wanted all the information.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know about my business. That's all I could do. I don't know whether the police ever came.
Well, we have a good police presence in Riverview. All the time we see the cars go by and we appreciate that. But right on my street, there was a man and a woman on top of a neighbor's car making love, okay? And we called the police department then, and we were told that wasn't a priority call. Of course, and I understand that.
You'd be surprised.
Got a wild neighborhood.
I know.
Could I ask just a clarification, because I have called the police, and it's never taken that long, but I do want to ask this question, just maybe to help everybody. Everything is recorded that they're hearing, correct?
What do you mean?
If I call in 911,
yes.
and I'm saying, my name is John Gorman, I'm at 207 East 42nd Street. In other words, if I give a string of information instead of waiting for them to ask me, all these various kinds of questions and so on, and then I have to leave because maybe I've got to help somebody do something or I'm in danger myself, how is that processed?
That I don't know. I don't think that it's something that they have in front of them. That's probably something they have to look up. Just like our radio communications are also recorded.
Right.
But that's something that you have to go back and get. It isn't something that's like reading on a screen.
Yeah, again, I don't know what they have.
No, I can tell you it's not that. So
okay.
It wouldn't be as easy as going, oh, this is what he said. It isn't that.
Maybe that's a topic for a future meeting to see if we can get somebody from dispatching here and ask that question. Because we've been hearing a lot of concerns about dispatching over the last couple of months, whether we see it on next door or people that are coming here. So maybe an outreach from them to us might be worth it.
Sure. I know this is dragging on. Is there anything else?
On the flip side,
yes.
A couple weeks ago, I was running early on Saturday, Sunday morning, 5 o'clock. And I saw a gentleman with a backpack on his bike just kind of rolling down the street, and I kind of like keep an eye on him. And I saw him starting to pull 8 door handles. I immediately called 911. And within 2 minutes, there were 4 police cars there, and they had the guy. He wasn't where I left him. He moved down a couple streets down, but they had him. They were there, and they got him, and they were taking him into custody. I mean, they are quick if they can. But then again, is that a high priority call? Probably not. You get 4 police cars there, probably means they're pretty dead that time.
Yeah, before I go, I know I'll take it once, and I said I was going to take. Some of it is a proximity to where the call is. If I'm where I was coming from earlier, I was coming down from Woodview by the naval base. I'm not going to get here in 5 minutes. That's going to take some time. So some of it is that, and like call volume. And if it's a slow night, you're going to get that. 4 cars going to one guy. It's just going to happen because nothing else happening. So a lot of it has to do on time of day, shift change, things like that. So a lot of things take into account when you're considering how long it takes officers to get there and things like that. So it is probably dispatch. We could work on it, but like I said, we can work on getting them here, and I can ask them questions as well.
Do you know how many patrol vehicles we have now between ODU and Tidewater Drive from Little Creek Road to 21st Street? Do you know how many are assigned to that area? I
can tell you on that, we have 9 cars, depending on staffing and manpower. You have anywhere from 9 to, it's usually closer to 9. I'm just not lying to you guys about it. So you're talking 1 person per car. And another thing is, a lot of calls we don't want until an officer arrives on scene to downgrade it from a 2-officer call. You're sending 2 cars to every call, which leads to some of it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'll shoot you guys straight. I don't want people to lie to me. So when you're looking at 9 officers for the entire 3rd Patrol Division, it's not a lot, to tell you the truth. That's why we have some of these detail cars and things like that, and even those have to be filled. And if they're not filled,
the reason I asked the question, when they broke into my daughter's home, and of course we saw them running out the back and everything, and we called him. When the police officer got there, 20 minutes later, he stated he was the only officer between ODU and Tidewater Drive in this district. And to me, that was just like...
It happens occasionally. I won't lie to you. It does. During work, sometimes...
one car.
No, I've been that far. I've missed training and things like that because there would have been no cars. Depending on details, court, things like that, you may have 1 car for the blue sector, which is the area you just described, and that is the law. No, I agree.
The solicitors and stuff too, the Biden or whatever people, they were in our neighborhood last week. I was out doing yard work, and the young man, starts telling me how he's up here from Florida, and he's, after he's got out of college, and he's up here working, and yada, yada, yada. And I said, I'm not interested. And he just kept talking. Finally, I said, excuse me, can I see your name badge? Can I see your license from this that you have to, from the city of Norfolk that says you can solicit? And he goes, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, excuse me, I'm part of the neighborhood watch stuff. And I said, those are things you have to have here. Not to mention the fact that you're here at 2:15 in the afternoon, and most people that you want to talk to are not at home. So you might want to boogie on out of this neighborhood and come back at 5:30, 6 o'clock maybe. I said, but come back with the right credentials. The next day, he knocked on my neighbor's garage door as she was raising it up at 2:30 in the afternoon. They went through this whole same scenario, and she said to him, you need to leave, kid, if you're not going to have the right stuff. So if people would be, aware to talk to them, I mean, I don't know if this kid really worked for this company or not, but again, if you don't confront them,
and I've heard they're being pushed and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, we don't confront them, they're going to come, and like I said, we don't know if they work for this company.
I contacted Bob as well, so we can give them some money. It's not easy.
But know what they need and call them.
Like that, there's another bureaucracy they've created within the damn system.
Thank you very much.
I'll look into these things.
Thank you, Doctor.
As you know, next month's meeting is our annual meeting. We will have election of officers. Right now, the slate stands with Dave Wolf agreeing to run again for treasurer. John Robertson will run again for secretary. I will run again for president. We do not have a candidate for vice president. And we will also need a candidate for the neighborhood representative for Riverview. Because at this time, we do not have anybody on the board from Riverview. We desperately need a vice president. Please let us know if you're interested.
Anyone interested?
Yeah, they're beating down the door.
I live in Riverview, like Jeremy was up.
Did Jeremy talk to you? Is there any other business this evening?
If we have a quorum.
think we
I just have a question. I just have, how many people use the next door neighbor app? How come this meeting is not on there?
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was on there.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I didn't.
Twice. Somebody asked which city. Somebody asked which city.
And I answered.
Just curious. If you use it in the advertisement, and get the wrong filter on or something, I don't know. Yeah.
All right,